Just before Christmas, I spoke to this guy whose business was in a pretty precarious position. Half of his team had left, and he hasn't closed any new business in months, and he was completely overwhelmed. So, kind of rightly so. You can imagine, and probably if you own a business, remember what that state is like when it feels everything is falling apart. And to add to the matters too, he had some personal issues that were clouding, maybe affecting his judgment and distracting him and demanding a lot of his attention. Anyway, he signed up to work with me, which was understandably a big commitment considering where he was with his business, and it was a financial commitment and also a time commitment as well. Like, you automatically come up against that thing of like, well, I don't have the time to dedicate to this properly, and there are immediate problems. But he'd just been to this talk that I'd given, so he got the value of what I was offering. And that being said, he knew his lack of ability to cope with the situation was what was perpetuating or maybe worsening the situation too. He'd been profitable before, like his business has been pretty successful before, but he just couldn't get back to it. It wasn't like he was trying to do it for the first time, which is very different to like, I need to get back, because you know you've got the skills in there, you know you've been there before. This isn't about creating it for the first time. Right now, I think it's just yesterday, he finished up his fourth call into our coaching process. And since then, he's signed up over £500,000 worth of new business. He's booked a once-in-a-lifetime holiday with his kids, and he's taking on 2 new team members right now. He's in a completely different place. And I'm going to share with you exactly how he did that. This is the instant success path that he followed. The first thing we needed to do was identify, this is kind of the obvious step that I'm sure you would have done before, but it's like we need to identify the single most important task that he was avoiding. And that was honestly pretty easy, because he spent most of his waking hours constantly chastising himself for not doing that task. So we identified the most important task. Then came the real work. We uncovered exactly why he was avoiding them. For him, this was a lack of the mental fitness component of flexibility, that ability to stay present, to stay aware, to stay focused, to stay here, now, right now. He was so distracted by this urgency of the situation that he couldn't remain present. And because he couldn't remain present, he couldn't focus on the right tasks to do right now. He needed to execute. So step 1 was building up in a 3 to 5 minute focused attentional training protocol, FAT, focused attentional training. This like 3 to 5 minute process of training him to stay here and now. And from this, of course, he didn't just change overnight. That's not how mental fitness is built and how success is created. But he began to get those gradual improvements that kept him on track and stopped him getting distracted, and actually taught him to be more present with his emotions rather than trying to get rid of them and then being distracted by them. And so the emotional stress came down. So that was step 1. It was building out that 3 to 5 minutes a day protocol that trained his attention to keep him right here and right now. Step 2 was very, very simple. It's like the foundational element of any coaching protocol, whether you're working on nutrition or business or mental performance. We set very ambitious goals that would stretch him to his capacity. So we found out what would work for him, what would be difficult, but just about manageable for him. And then I held him accountable. I kept him updated with texts, and we chatted occasionally, just to make sure that he was doing the things that he said he was going to do. So actually taking the steps he promised to take in our sessions. That instantly got him out of the hole he was in. So we identified what he needed to do. We trained his attention, and then we set ambitious goals on what to do with those targets, and I kept him accountable. All kind of fairly standard stuff so far. The accountability is probably the key piece of that, plus the attentional training. So that got him out of that hole in his business. He basically finished up with more business. He took on more new business, and it decreased his baseline level of anxiety and allowed him to see the truth of the situation, which was he was in control. Because when you are overwhelmed by the current situation, you lose your internal locus of control. You think the world is determined by outside of you. There's nothing I can do to change, is the kind of thing that you think. And from here, we began to deal with staffing issues. And he was struggling to confront some of the team members who are underperforming. There are one or two people who are underperforming in this team for two reasons. Number one, he didn't have a framework to have these conversations. So I taught him a very, very simple framework of this is how you have difficult conversations. This is how you prepare yourself to lead in those conversations. And then in a similar way to many people, this is the second point. When he attempted to lead, it brought up a lack of the mental fitness component of strength, which is showing up as self-doubt and a lack of clarity and a lack of certainty. So he was kind of self-sabotaging what he was doing. Strength is the mental fitness component of strength is knowing how to get and getting what you want from the world. It's showing up as who you really need to be. It's kind of like self-confidence, standing up for yourself. It's certainty, it's assertiveness. And because he didn't know what he stood for, he couldn't lead effectively. So this started step 3, which was, what do you stand for? Who are you? What are the clear standards that you're always going to adhere to? And from there, staffing issues seemed to improve because he had increased his capacity. He'd become more capable. And now, in the last maybe call and a half, it's kind of blurred a little bit we're just like finishing one thing off and bringing another thing in. We're into the fourth element, which is lifestyle design. We're building out the exact lifestyle that he wants, from the car he wants to drive to the holidays and vacations he wants to go on, to the culture in his business, the level of his fitness, the kind of events he wants to be able to complete, his relationships with the people he loves. It's all there. It's a massive change around in two months or so. If you're listening to this, just know you can create huge changes in your mental performance if you follow the steps I outlined. And I mean this sincerely. I wish you the best of luck in your journey.